Green Meadows is a WordPress website, and they're very straightforward as far as how they work. But to get into the WordPress site, you have to log in first. So the easiest way to do that for me is typing in /wp-admin. And then it brings you to this screen. Put in your username and password, which Melissa sent me a list today, so I will set those up with various people. And then once you log in, you come to what we call the dashboard. And the dashboard is just kind of exactly what it says. It's a dashboard where you can access literally everything. Some of these options, I'm logged in as an admin right now. I will set up most of the emails I was sent as admins as well. But some of these options kind of can be ignored, or they're for not necessarily content updates like users or even backups. But other ones are, like the biggest ones here are pages for updating pages, posts for updating various posts, team members, form submissions. This is where all the form submissions go and are collected. And I believe the email is sent to an info email as well. But if for whatever reason it doesn't come, all the submissions are stored here. And then I think that's it for that. If you do have any SEO questions or updates, we use what we call Yoast SEO. You know, that's not terribly relevant on a daily basis, but if you need to update, you know, certain meta tags or anything on pages, you can do that. All right, so I have a couple things I want to cover, some general stuff, but also updating a page that covers that. The first thing I'm going to look at, though, is just media pieces. So images, PDFs that you want to update or upload, or update, I guess, too. And that's under this media selection here. And this is literally a collection of every piece of media on the website, mostly images for this one. A lot of times there are PDFs though as well. Some of these can actually be cleared out now that we've launched some of the earlier ones. But this is where everything is stored. And you get some information from here. Most of the time, if you're updating an image and adding it to a page, you will actually access this through the page, and I'll go through that later. But it's good to know that if you ever need to look at an image, this is the place to come. And then also, I'll just move this. Once you click on an image, this gives you some information that you might need down the road. Alternative text, that's one of those things that's good for SEO. That does not automatically fill in, but I kind of keep in line with what the images of what the image subject is. The title, that's, you know, pretty obvious what the title of the actual image is, but you can change that. So like if you upload something that's a string of numbers, you can actually change the title. And then the URL is the most important thing. If you ever need it to send to somebody, this would be more for PDFs if you need to send it to somebody, but also images. When you're updating the page, you may need to reference this URL. And then, all right, so I'm gonna just start with a general page update. And this interface is slightly different than a lot of WordPress sites. A lot of WordPress sites, you're actually dealing on the back end of updating a page, and you kind of get a very boring look to it, if you will. This one actually has a visual builder, and we were able to not modify that in the sense that you can actually use it. A lot of times some people update websites and they can't use the visual builder, but this time around we can, which is great. So most of the time, I don't think you'll be updating the homepage, but let's say you notice a word is wrong, just come up to your nice little bar at the top here. Once you're logged in, this appears. And they have what they call Enable Visual Builder. Click on that, and it's a visual representation of the page with editing options. It's a little overwhelming at first, and you can edit some of this on the back end, but websites are built as boxes inside boxes inside boxes. So if you think of it that way, it becomes a little less complicated. Blue box being the largest one, this you will not have to edit. Green will be the one inside of that. You probably won't need to edit this as either. And then the gray one is the one that you will need to edit, and that's typically for text boxes. This one is a little different, the scrolling thing, the scrolling header image. That's controlled somewhere else, but it's nice to know you can go into it through here. Here's a heading, and let's say I want to just add or take something out. You can just literally click in there and then type. And I'm obviously not going to save this because this is on the live website, but that's how you can update that. And then you can also have a different interface. You can update it just like that by clicking in the box, or you can come and click on this little gear, and it'll take a minute, but it'll open up a more typical WordPress text interface. And here again, you have a bunch of options, but mostly you'll see the headline you want to edit, and from here you can make that edit. And then let's say you make your edit, you want to make sure that it's correct. You hit the checkbox, and then this actually won't close without saving, but I always like to save throughout. And there's this little 3 dots here at the bottom. And if you click on that, you get more options. And the save is in the bottom right. But like I said, the visual builder will not let you save without, or exit without saving. So if I hit exit, well, because I saved it, of course. When you hit exit, a dialog box will pop up and it'll say save your work, just kind of like Word if you're closing something. And I give you both options because a lot of, if your internet goes out, if you randomly accidentally close a tab, your work's gone. I am going to edit this box just to show you the text interface and how to update that, and a couple things associated with that as well. So this time I did click into it instead of just typing on the screen. I like to do it this way because it's a little more controlled, at least, how I file things in my mind. It looks a little more controlled. And, if it's just a paragraph, you just come in here and type it. But there's a couple things that you might want to do. We don't suggest doing this a lot, but it's nice to have the options of, changing the font or the text, to italic or bulleted list, adding a link. Most of the time that stuff is controlled already, but let's say you want text to be centered and it appears left justified, you can do that here, right there. Or you want founded to be bold, just come in here and click bold and it'll bold that text. The other one that will be used probably more often, specifically for posts, is links. And let's say I wanted to link the word founded. Again, come up to this little bar and there's a chain link icon. Click that and you can type in your URL. And then, that's the text. And if you change this, it actually will change it here. But that's where you type in the URL, hit OK. There is a couple things with internal links. When I say internal links, I mean links linking to other pages on the website. You want to have target as none. But if it's a link that goes away from the website, we typically like to have that open in a new window. And we do that for a couple reasons, SEO, and also we don't want people going away from your website. So click that. and OK. Again, I'm not going to hit OK just because I don't want to edit anything. But that's what that's for. There's a couple other options here, and you can look through these. They're pretty typical Word interface links.
Hey, Joseph, one quick question on that. Sorry, I joined a little bit late there. If you're opening, if you're hyperlinking somewhere else, is that new window option, does that default to a new window altogether in the browser, or is that to a new tab, or can we decide new tab for the user?
It would be new tab. I don't think
okay.
From that option, you know, there's always a way to open a new window, but from that option, it is opening a new tab.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Let's clear that out. And then again, checkbox to save. I'm not going to save this one, and maybe this time it'll let me do that. Oh, and also images. You know, we have this image here. You would click on the gear instead of on it exactly, and then you can come in here, click on the image, and it brings you to that media library I showed you earlier, and you can click on whatever image you want, hit update image in the bottom right. It'll update that image, and then again, checkbox. There are also, this interface has a lot of hover settings. So like if you notice when I hover over the image, there's a couple options in this gray box on the right. You have another gear here that will bring you to that interface as well.
And Joe, in instances like that, are images auto scaled for what you have it set for within that viewer? Or will we have to take care of that?
I would suggest uploading images the sizes you want.
Okay.
Couple reasons for that. One is just loading times. So
yep.
Always keep the images as small as possible.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm also a designer, so I love big, large images, but you know, working on a website, sometimes that's not the best thing to do. Buttons, that would be the other thing that you will need to update on a page. And again, just come to that little gear here, click on that. This one is a little different. What you see first is actually just the button text. But there's these little accordions, if you will, in this interface, and link is where that would be, and then you want to link your URL there. One thing to note, again, is when you're linking in the inside of the website, we like to only add everything after the .com to a link. And a couple reasons for that. One is our host is Pantheon, and in that we have a dev environment, a test environment, and a live environment. We are in the live environment now, but every once in a while we need to move things, content from dev to test to live, and the nagging thing that doesn't always change accurately is links. So by doing everything after the .com, everything before that is, you know, automatically set for you. So you don't need a full one. But this is only for links on the inside of the website. You do want the full URL for links outside the website. And then I'm going to exit the visual builder, and here's that save. I'm going to discard. All right. So that's just a general page edit. The second piece of content that I want to cover is posts. So when I say posts, I mean the posts that appear on this page. So loads. This is one of your posts, and it's all the content that appears here. Everything below this is actually pre-filled in, if you will. It's automatically there. And this one's a little different, adding a new post, because I like to do it on the back end through the dashboard. I will show you the front interface, but it's a little more straightforward because posts, you know, I've worked on websites where we have literally hundreds. So it's nice to see where you're at. Here, we obviously only have 6. So what I did there is I went back to the dashboard, clicked on posts, and now I have a big list of all the posts on the website. When you hover over a post title, you actually have a couple different options here at the bottom. And one of them is view. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to open that in a new tab just to show you what I'm looking at on the front end. And then I'm also going to hit edit to show you what it looks like on the back end. So this is what the interface looks like on the back end. And this is why the visual interface is a little more friendly for updating it. Sometimes kind of have to click into a bunch of stuff just to get to what you want. But it is a similar color scheme. You do have the gear here. Again, the section is what you can ignore, row you can ignore, the text is what you want to edit. Click that gear and then you come back to that interface that I was talking about. And here's one of those examples of a link. And if you, I guess I'll cover that too in a second. Changing the link. So this is the backend interface, and this is the front end interface. And you can, again, use the visual builder here for this. But I do suggest starting off using the backend builder when you're starting a new post. Couple things to note here are the title. The title is what appears in the permalink. So everything after that slash up here. Then we also have an excerpt, which actually appears on this page. Well, I guess it doesn't in this one, but it can. And it's good for SEO purposes. And what this is a little about what the post is about, you know, just a short, brief description. And then you can also change the author. I believe we set all of the authors right now to Green Meadows, but let's say Melissa goes in and updates a post. It's actually going to default to whoever whoever's logged in. So you might want to change this. So I can change it to myself or leave it at Green Meadows. The other things on the other side here are this publish option. Right now, since we're editing a existing post, it's already published, but here's where we would update the post if we make edits. Categories, right now we're just having in the news, but we do have a couple other ones listed, and that will appear here, I believe. Yeah, so I'm editing the in the news one, but there's company news, and we have a couple other options. And then the other thing is the featured image. This one, you can actually just use whatever size image you want. But this is nice because that's what appears here as the featured image, and that'll also help appear in SEO stuff and Google. Again, you click on the image and it brings you to that media interface, which is nice. You can also remove it first, and then then hit set featured image and it'll bring you there. I'm not going to save, so that's the backend interface of that. Your interaction will probably be adding a new post. And what I like to do there is actually duplicate an existing post. Then it kind of already has that style there. You can start from scratch, but then you have to, you know, add that template in. So for me, it's honestly just easy just to clone that last post and then go in there and edit. And this is where you can choose either editing on the back end or editing on the front end. But again, it looks the same. You can see a couple interesting things here. The title, since that already existed, it just did a /2. Now, if I update this to new post and hit I'm actually going to save draft because it might change. So if I save a draft, that permalink will change. But you do have to remember to double check that, because sometimes it won't change. And cases that it won't change are like if you start it in the morning and then you don't come back to it until like 5 o'clock at night, it may save it as that. So you just like to check that. If you do need to edit, there is an edit button here, and then you just go in and edit the URL. You don't need to include the slashes. That'll actually automatically be placed in. I do advise against using special characters like ampersands or quotes. Those are not good for links. And the important option for a new post is to publish it. So once we have the draft saved, everything looks good. You edited the text here. You come over here and hit publish. And that will automatically publish it, and it will appear on that, blanking on the name, News and Insights page. Again, I'm not going to do that this time because we're on live. And if you do save a draft, it will appear as a draft here. Once it's published, you won't see anything other than this Divi. Divi refers to the theme that we're using. Now, another option that you might want to do is just trash an old post. And that's easy enough. Just click that trash button. But again, remember that these options don't always appear until you hover. And also, if you do trash something accidentally, it is saved and you can restore it. Just go to this tab up at the top, trash, hover over the one, hit restore, and it will appear in this list. And when you do duplicate something, it should always appear at the top of the list. So again, if you close the browser, it should always be there. All right. Any questions on posts or adding a post? All right. So the next one I want to look at is the, I'm blanking on where to go here, team member. So the team members appear on this page, and they have a couple pieces of information here: the name, title, and then we have the read the bio. When you click, you go to a page specifically for that, and you have the larger image with the content. Again, you can edit this one. This one is not available for Visual Builder, basically because it's hosted through a different plugin, if you will. So it's not your typical edit. But you can access that still on the back end. And that's this third option below pages and posts as team. Click on team, you get that list. And it's very straightforward again. If I want to edit Bob, just hit edit. And there's a couple pieces of information here. Title, or excuse me, name. It says title, or on other ones. Title here is the one where you should put the actual person's title. And then the content, and that's really it besides the image here on the right, which again, I suggest sizing, though if I remember correctly, this one is controlled again by programming. But it's nice to have that same ratio, because sometimes if it is controlled by programming, the crop is off and it just doesn't look right. So that's really editing that. And if you want to add a new one, you actually don't need to duplicate it because it is so simple and everything that you need to add. So you just come up here to the top, add new. It'll bring you to this page. Fill in your content. You can see it automatically filled in that permalink. Add some content here. And then set a featured image. And you know what? I don't think I did this, but I will click on one. Once you do, you click on the image, it'll give you a checkbox there, and then set featured image. It's pretty intuitive, but you know, it's nice to have a reference. And then once that's all set, you can save draft. You can preview it before you post it. I don't always do this because sometimes it doesn't always appear 100% accurate, but the team members do. And this is just a preview. So it's not posted by anybody, or nobody besides you, the user that's logged in, can see it. Once everything's good, close that tab. It does open in a new tab when you preview, and hit publish, and then it'll post this post or this team member. Again, I'm going to delete this one. And if you want to just permanently delete, you can do that as well. All right, that's team member. All right, so there's a couple pieces of content that appear in two places, and that's always tough to remember, but it is for a good reason. So we have a lot of facts on this website. Specifically under the Learn page, we have this Cannabis 101, where we have a couple tidbits of information on certain things. Also the glossary of terms and facts. And those are here on this one page, and you can edit them here using the visual builder or the builder on the back end. But there's also going to be results when you search for something. So if I want to search for, I guess I'll just do cannabis. You're going to get a couple results here. And you'll notice that you actually get a little more detailed search. You get, you know, it's obviously used extensively on the website, so you're going to see a couple different pieces of content with it, but you're also going to get these little tidbits of information here on this page. One great one is actually hours. So this is another piece of information that is in two places. And again, you get that little information here.
Joe, how does it sort the results when you search?
So it's a very basic search. There are a couple pieces of content that we did specify that will appear at the top. One would be the hours, and you know, if somebody searched dosage, that would appear. And that's a specific content type set up on the back end. So this is how it works. And then where that content type is located is on the back end here. Under, one of them is under the Cannabis 101. Facts are here, and then glossary is here. And the reason I wanted to show you where it was on the website and in the search result is it is two pieces of content. So if I was to update the website, one of these 5 tabs, it would not update here. This is only for search. So if I do want to update this, I would update this here in search. And it's pretty straightforward again, as far as the interface, title, permalink, your image. I don't think you'll necessarily need to add stuff here, but edit things will probably be a big thing. And then this is what actually appears in the search. This is just a thumbnail. And this is the actual content. And again, you know, you can come in here. This one's a little different for editing, but there is a similar interface. You click on it. There's a little pencil this time. That's for edit. Come in here and you can just change that type. So those little factoids are here. Glossary terms are listed here under glossary. And then facts are listed here. And then I'm trying to look for hours. The hours is listed in one of these as well, because it is in two places. Right there, second one right in front of me. So that's where this is, after the grand opening. I'm assuming you'll want to delete that. But again, two pieces of content. And I reinforce that because when there's two pieces of content, it is easy to forget. So if I change that on the back end there, it will not change here. This is a different interface and different content. And this one I can edit through this visual builder here as well. Any other questions on that? I know that one's kind of a little roundabout way of updating a couple pieces of content. And again, if you do want to add one, there is add new, and then you can type in your piece of content. Because it's fax, it doesn't have the images, but it'll have title, and then you place your content here. And then the typical options of save, draft, preview, and publish. I'm going to do one of these just so you can see the image as well. If I want to add the one to this Cannabis 101, change the title here. It will say if it's not applicable, you don't need to fill it out. This is that image interface. So this is the thumbnail. It doesn't say thumbnail, but the first one will be the thumbnail. And you can add that here. And then content. And I'm going to have to double check why it's repeated down here. Look at one of the existing ones. Ah, okay. It's probably listed down there for a couple reasons. SEO, but sometimes you do have double content like you do here. So this is actually—
Is that just showing the preview of what it looks like? With the text
exactly.
Next to it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I think you will need to add it here. Again, these are not things that you'll probably be updating on a daily basis. So,
yep.
But I do want you to know how to do it. Glossary, same thing, just, whatever you want to add.
One question actually going back to the posts piece that I was thinking about is, as of right now, you said we only have like 6 or 8, something like that. And obviously those are what's showing up on the site. As we add more, is there a limit to what we have on the published site? Like or is it just keep building the page down with those preview slides?
Yeah, great question. So I'm not sure what the number is, but we actually have pagination set up for this page.
Okay.
So once you have, Melissa, I don't know if you remember.
I think it's like one more row. I think it's one more row, and then there'll be pagination.
Okay.
So once
total.
you hit,
yeah.
Yep, 12 total. Once you hit 13, a little 1 or 2 will appear down here, cool. And then go to that next page, and that'll automatically happen.
Got it. All right, sounds good.
And then this is also where your, categories appear. One thing to note about the category that brings me back to that, we had, I don't know if you remember, but we had 5 or 6 categories on the list, but you only see 2 here with the show all. The reason being, you actually have to have a post published with a specific category for it to appear here, meaning we don't want any dead links, if you will. So if I click on this and there was nothing there, we wouldn't want that. That would be a bad thing. So it's set up that only what's posted appears here.
Got it. That makes sense.
All right. I think that's all from my end. Is there any other specific questions
One kind of use case that I was wondering how it's built
Shoot.
here.
I think you're cutting out. Sorry. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
still.
you're frozen, Rob.
Is if we ever wanted someone, am I back? Sorry.
Yes.
Heard
Yes,
nothing.
you are.
Your new Wi-Fi is not working.
Okay. I will call them the same. No, if we wanted to have a user put anything when they got to the site, right? Like a PDF, I don't know if a menu might be feasible in the future, but any kind of content.
Oh, shoot.
Hey, you're cutting out again.
Is there a way, like, how does that, am I down again? Damn. All right.
I did hear PDF. Oh, restart.
Yeah.
Toughest thing about working from home, good internet connection.
He just moved into his new house.
Ah,
I guess PDF, and he said, ask the download question. I don't know what that means.
oh,
As in if you wanted to download it,
yeah.
source available.
Hi, sorry.
No worries.
I will have to call Optimum and get that fixed. If we wanted to have a user download anything when they get to the website, how would that look in WordPress when we're setting that up? I'm asking my question very quickly so I don't break up again.
Sure. So there's a couple different ways. If, let's say you wanted a button to download or a link, like if you're in a post and you want, I'll go do that actually. So let's say I wanted today to link to a PDF to download. Of course, I have to go into this one. So you want to do it the same way you would with the URL. Add, and then the URL would actually be the URL that maybe you weren't here when I showed you that. Oh, let me open it up. So the first thing you would want to do is actually upload the PDF to the media library. And it's literally just drag and drop. Once you do that, there's this URL here associated with it. Again, include everything after the .com. I don't have a PDF actually uploaded, so I can't illustrate it.
That's fine, but I see what you're saying. So you upload the PDF to the media library, it gets a file URL, you use that as the path, and then they can basically download from there.
Exactly, and it doesn't automatically download. I do suggest opening it in a new tab.
Okay.
It doesn't automatically download. Like I know you probably experienced this in Chrome or Safari or any other browser, but it actually just opens the PDF in the browser, and then there's like buttons in there to download.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, no, I missed the media library piece up front. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. Good question. All right. First.
Just a couple of practical questions, Joe. One, so I know this is being recorded. Do you guys also provide a documentation or a 1 or 2 pager to refer to?
I mean, if there's certain parts of it that you you know, really want documentation for, that's definitely something we can look at. We do typically have been doing the videos. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's usually one or the other. But we can provide, if you still want the video and just a few things documented, we can do both. Just let me know what you would like to find.
Well, I'm also guessing that WordPress has some public stuff that we could look at.
Yeah, though for this one specifically, and we can provide you links, it's WordPress is almost like the basic form. The theme we use is called Divi. So the Divi website will provide probably the best resource for some of the updates. but we can again provide that. But if you have any, specific areas, we can look at that too for a visual reference or PDF or something.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just in terms of being able to, find within the video an answer to a specific question. Thinking about
Sure.
to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we host the videos on our website, but they're through YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and they actually have like legitimate chapters you click on and it'll go right to that spot. You don't have to search for the time in the video. So I have like 20, I guess, stops, if you will, in the video listed out that I'll have.
So you'll easily be able to refer back to adding a team member, and you can go straight to this part of the video to figure that out instead of having to watch the whole thing, for example.
Yep, great. And then in terms of the backup for the site, how does that work, or what type of backup is there for the site?
Sure. So we use the host Pantheon, which is one of the best hosts I've ever used. And it has, I don't know if you remember in this process, you were looking at links from a dev site, like the first 3 characters were dev or test, and then also live. And those in and of themselves are backups, but also all 3 environments, dev, test, and live, have backups themselves.
Daily, right? There's daily backups
yes.
made of the site.
The dev and test, I think, are weekly, and the live is daily, and they'll update. I forget what time it is. In fact, I might as well just log into the interface just to show what it looks like. I believe somebody does have access to this. I'm going to search.
Yeah,
for
Chris,
it here.
you were the one who set up your account, right? In Pantheon?
Yes.
Yeah, so once you log in, let's get it pulled up here. There we go. So this is what the interface of that looks like with dev, test, and live. You don't really need to do too much here, but the one you're specifically asking about is the backup. And that's set to, I guess, the next one is Thursday. But when you go to the backup log, you can see it did it, all these days. And
So
then
if
you
they
just hit
ever,
restore.
there you go. Yeah, that's what I was just doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you ever want to do a manual one that, they fall off after a while, like it just deletes after a while. And if you ever want to do one that sticks around for 6 months, you can always do like a 6-month backup, if you will. Because, this is only a week and a half worth.
Okay, good.
And there are, we have done training on this Pantheon too before, but there's also a lot of resources. They're one of the best supported hosts out there. So that's the Green Meadows website. Any other questions?
Not for me.
We'll get your credentials to you today so that you can access the back end.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
One thing I just realized that I didn't look at, and I'm going to right now, is form submissions.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Yeah, they are emailed to info@greenmeadows.com, I believe, but those are located here on the interface under contact form submissions. And, I think there's only one form. So those are all right here.
It's a lot better than the manual Excel sheet I've been keeping, so that's good.
Yeah, and if you do want, like, if you want to,
yeah, no, the export as CSV, and my eye went right there. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yep. So that's really nice.
No, that's good. It is. One quick question on the media library piece, just because I missed that one. Any limitations there as far as what kind of media, how much we can drop in there? Is there like a trash or archive thing if we want to clear out old media?
There isn't a trash or archive feature, but as far as types of media, images, most file formats, there's a couple obscure ones that I might use that don't necessarily work, but they can work if you prep for them in a programming sense. PDFs, you can do videos, though I do not recommend that. Pretty much every other video host out there is a lot better at displaying videos than WordPress is.
Okay.
But that option is there. And was there anything else with that?
No, I don't think so. I think that was pretty much it. I guess if we wanted to do a video, is there an option to just embed that directly into the site?
Yeah, again, if you embed it into the site, you can do that through YouTube, and that'll give you some script. And
got it. Okay.
It's actually fairly simple, and you just paste it in that text box area.
Yep. All right, cool. That sounds good. And then did we touch on the SEO piece as well?
Oh, we did a little bit, but I'll show you where the interface is. And this goes for every single piece of content, including the team members. So for the most part, we have SEO set up, but a lot of times you want to change it. So what I did was I'm editing a page. This one's a thank you page, but we do have SEO for it, and that'll appear down here. It's Yoast SEO is the name of the plugin we use, and this has the title and then a meta description. The slug is basically the URL, so that automatically fills in. These actually both automatically fill in as well,
okay.
But they're just generic, so it's always nice to have a more specific one. And then it does give you that readable score, and you can look at desktop results. Though sometimes, and hopefully the new users will have this, sometimes you don't see that at the bottom, like see this box here, Yoast SEO. And quick little comment on that, there's actually screen options up in the top right. Click on that and you can show what boxes you want to see. Yoast is checked. If you want to remove any of these other ones, you can. Once you change that, your settings are saved as a user and it'll always appear there.
Okay, cool.
Typically, in the past, I've set that up for new users, but recently it doesn't seem to be sticking. Once somebody else logs in on their account, it clears that out. So I want to make sure I touched on that. All right.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Good.
All right.
Yes.
Great.
Thanks so much for the tutorial.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.